So I have the directions out here, I have the graph paper ready to go, and I have a separate sheet of paper for my work, which is similar to what you guys should have. So the first thing we need to do is we need a line. We need 4 parallel lines, so we need one line to start. So I'm going to use the same lines I used in the example I showed you guys. So one of my lines was 10-1, started at 10-1. And so what I would do for you guys, if I was you, is you're going to pick a point to start. Okay. And then you need to pick a second point. So I would pick that point so that your y-intercept is a whole number. So what I did is I went over here and I said, okay, well, the first point I have here is 10. Okay, 10, negative 10-1. Struggling with the point, but it's negative 10-1. Okay, so I said, okay, we got to go 10 to the right. And then I just picked like 2 up. And I said, okay, there'll be a good y-intercept. And then I went up over 10 again, and then up 2 again. And that's how I picked my second point. This way I know when I connect these 2 lines, they'll go right through a y-intercept at a whole number. Okay, so my new point here was 10-5. So 10, 5. Hopefully that shows up. I don't know why it's going so slow right now. $10, 5. Okay, it's not going to show up very well here. That's all right. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect that line. So I'll go to my line tool here. I'm going to connect those 2 lines. Okay. All right. So the next thing is, well, that is, a road usually has some more dimensions to it. It's more than one dimensional. So let's put another line in for our road. Okay. So that'll be our first road here. Now, again, we said you can find the equation for that line if you want to find the middle of it. If you want to find the top edge of it or the bottom edge, it doesn't matter as long as you're consistent. So I'm going to find the top edge of all these roads, the equation for the top edge of all the roads I have. So the first thing you need to find the equation is the slope. So if we go over to our work page here, so I'm going to call this, I forget what road I called it, but let's just call it Math Street. But we need to go back to freehand. Okay, we'll call this Math. Again, I don't know why it's not showing up. It's just going really slow. Okay, well, so we'll call that Math Street. Yeah, it's not all showing up, but we're going to call that Math Street. So on my paper over here, okay, I'm going to put Math Street. Okay, and we're going to, the 2 points on that line I have, okay, we're negative 10-1. Okay, and the other point I had over here was 10-5. Okay, and so we need the equation of that line. So the first thing we need is the slope. So slope is rise over run. Okay, also known as change in y over change in x, which again can also be written as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So all those are different ways to write slope. So let's use the bottom formula here, and we're just going to substitute in our y values and our x values. So for our slope here, our y values are 1 and 5. So we'll do 1 minus 5. And then our x values are negative 10 minus 10. Okay. And this does kind of matter. Unlike distance formula, it does kind of matter which order you put them in. If you pick from this point first, if you pick the 1 from this point first, you have to pick that x coordinate first as well. Right? We can't do 1 minus 5 and then 10 minus negative 10. Okay, and then that's going to give us the wrong sign for the problem. All right, so we're picking, this will be our x2, y2. All right, and this will be our x1, y1. You could have switched them. All right, that would have been fine. Okay, so that's going to give us -4 over -20. Right, and then you divide the top and the bottom by -4 each, you're going to end up with 1 over 5. So your slope is going to be 1 over 5. Okay, we know our y-intercept is going to be 3 here because we strategically planned it out. If you don't strategically plan it out, we can still find it. So right now we have y equals 1/5 x plus b. You can pick either one of your points and substitute them in. So I'm going to pick the second point because, again, I like positive numbers. I don't like negative numbers. So I'm going to plug in 5 for y, and then 10 for x. Okay, and that's going to be plus b. Okay, so 5 is going to equal 1/5 times 10. Right, that's going to cancel to a 2, so it's going to be 2 plus b. Right, 1/5 times 10 is going to be 2. Right, and then you subtract 2 from both sides, and you get 3 equals b. So you're going to get your equation for this line as y equals 1/5 x plus 3. Got your slope, you got your y-intercept. Okay, the important thing here for parallel lines is the slope. Okay, so your slope is 1/5. So that means our slope for all of our other parallel lines needs to be 1 over 5. So if we go back to our graph here, okay, we have our one line in, we have our equation, our slope, and all that. We now need another line. So let's pick one. Let's say we'll have a road here. So this is what? -10, 1, 2, 3, 4, -4. So -10, and then -4. Okay, and then we know our slope has to be 1/5. So rise over run has to be 1 over 5. So we're going to go up 1, and then we're going to run 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And our next point is going to be over here, which is going to be 10, 0. Okay, and then we can connect those points. All right, so let's connect those points. Okay, and that'll be the top of my road, and again, I'll draw on the bottom of my road right here then. Okay, but we'll find the equation for the top of the line. So we already know the slope, but we want to find it again. We want to show all the work anyways. So our 2 points are -10, -4, and 10, 0. Let's call this Geometry Street. Okay, it's not going to type in, but let's call it Geometry Street. So we'll go over to this page. Okay, and then for Geometry Street, okay, our points were -10, -4. Okay, and then 10, 0. So again, we can show our slope here is rise over run, or change in y over change in x. So we're going to do, let's stay consistent here. -10, right, we'll make this x to y2. And this one x1, y1. Okay, so we'll do -10 minus 10. I'm sorry, it's change in y over change in x, so we got to do our y's first. So -4 minus 0. And then -10 minus 10. So that's going to be -4 over -20. Right, we divide by -4 over -4, and we're going to end up with 1/5. So our slope here is going to be 1/5. Okay, and again, we strategically picked our point, so our y-intercept would be -2 here, right? So it's a whole number. But if we wanted to find it, we do the same way we did it up there. So we do y equals mx plus b. So y equals 1/5 x plus b. Okay, we can plug in one of our points. I'm going to plug in the 10, 0, 1. So 0 for y is 1/5 times 10 plus b. 1/5 times 10 is going to be 2. Subtract 2 from both sides, and we get -2 equals b. So our equation here is going to be y equals 1/5 x minus 2. Okay. And then we would do the same thing for 2 more parallel lines, 2 more parallel streets. So if we did one below, oops, let's draw a freehand. Okay, so we could do another one down below, right? And then go up 1 over 5, up 1 over 5, up 1 over 5, up 1 over 5. Okay, and then we could connect those lines. Okay, and again, we could do, that could just be the top half of our street. All right, and there's another road. Okay, and we do the same thing. We'd have to find those coordinates, and we'd find the slope, find the y-intercept, and we'd have our equation for the line. Okay, and then we could do another one up here somewhere. You know, say we put a point here. All right, we went up 1 over 5, up 1 over 5, up 1 over 5, up 1 over 5. We would have another road here. Okay. Whoops. Right, and so there we would have our 4 parallel lines. Again, the key is they all have a slope of 1 over 5. Okay, that then leads us to our perpendicular line. So if we were to, we just want to change color. Blue. Okay, well, let's go here. So you would then have your work for your other 2 parallel lines. So you would need an equation, it'd be same thing. You'd write the street down, whatever you want to call it, and then you would say, here's my 2 points on the line, here's my slope, here's my y-intercept, there's my equation. So you would have 4 of these, and they should all have a slope of 1 over 5. Or whatever your slope is. It's not going to be 1 over 5, it'll be whatever yours is. Okay, and then we're going to need one for our perpendicular line. Okay, so the slope of our perpendicular line is opposite reciprocal. So since the slope of this line is 1 over 5, okay, we are going to flip them and then take the opposite. So this is going to be negative, right, 5 over 1. Okay, negative 5 over 1. And then you pick a place to start on your graph. I'm just going to pick the y-intercept. I think that's easiest. Okay, so 0, 0, the origin. So I'm going to pick the origin as my starting point. Oops, we're still on the line, I think. Okay, and I know my slope has to be negative 5 over 1. So rise over run, so negative 5, we're going to go down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then right 1. So there would be a point here. Okay, and then we got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. So there's a point there. Okay, we go up 5, left 1. There'll be a point there. Up 5, left 1. Okay, and then we can put in our line there, right? Because that's an opposite reciprocal slope. This isn't going to fit all the way across. I should have zoomed out, but that's all right. There we go. Okay, and then I'll put, again, I'll just move over 1 unit. And put in the rest. Okay, and there would be our perpendicular road that works as the transversal. It cuts through the other 4 parallel lines. Okay, and then again, you would write your information. So We made it again strategically, so our y-intercept was 0. So if we come over here, our y-intercept in this case, right, that's the one for the parallel lines. Right, so opposite reciprocal, so our slope is going to be -5, right? -5/1 is just -5. And then your y-intercept we made was 0. So our equation for this line would be y equals -5x. Okay. And that's for a transversal. We can call that one transversal street if you want, or whatever name you want to give it. Okay. And so that would be how you, that would be step one of how you set up your lines. You'd want to give your title, a name for the city, a population. You want to come up with your logo design and a logo. And it doesn't need to be fancy, just quick little thing. Okay, but that's what it would look like. You'd have your coordinates written out here. You have your equation for each line, named all the lines, and you have your equations and slope. Okay, and then we'll do a second video going over where to place all the buildings.